Comparison is always going to kill us no matter what. Always, no matter what. And realistically, gang, this is the funniest part about this, and I tell people this, those that are experiencing that end where they're like, I don't have a ton of people, I don't have all that, I'm sad about that, and they're looking at these other people that have this gorgeous situation and busy social calendar. Meanwhile, those sweet angels are the ones that we're talking to in this episode going, hey, reel it in, sugar, because you hate your life during the holiday.
Hey, I'm Brooke Jean, therapist, recovering perfectionist, and struggling working mom on a mission to normalize normal. If you're an overwhelmed, high-achieving, and secretly anxious mama, struggling to balance it all and on the brink of burnout, you are in the right place. Here is where we talk about hard things like balancing work and family life, mental health, and how to navigate life-altering transitions. Nothing is too taboo here. In my conversations, I'll teach you how to let go of who you think you're supposed to be in order to create the life you've always wanted. Get ready to embrace your messy, shed the shoulds, and find freedom through a life unperfected. This is the Unperfected Pod. Welcome back to the Unperfected Pod, honey, where we normalize the wide range of normal and find freedom in a life unperfected. And I just want to warn you, you beautiful listener, that Meghan and I are coming to you already dysregulated.
Already hot,
because the Chrome setup for Riverside, which is where we record the podcast, if it's your first time, it's a journey, honey. So Miss Maggie Moo just went through a journey to get here.
A journey. Well, you know, it's funny, Brookie. This is my second time.
That's right.
I mean, here we are still, Chrome. Here we are still. Moral of the story is it had me update to the newest version, and I did exactly what it said, and it said, sorry, update to the newest version. And I said,
oh, we already thought we were updated.
I'm updated. I literally just updated.
Oh my God. Okay.
7 times. So now I literally, in my applications folder, there are actually like 4 versions of Google Chrome. And I'm like, I don't even like you. And I have 7 times in my applications.
No,
cool.
We're going to just make the public statement that we are not a fan of Google Chrome. And I don't, Riverside, if you're listening, why are you compatible with the Chrome? No.
And why is Safari not? Because that also just triggered me because I tried to change lanes and it said, hey, no, get Chrome. And I was like, oh, just get Chrome. All I got to do is get Chrome.
So guys, that took us 17 minutes.
17 But we're here. We made it. I made it in alive without chucking this here laptop out that window. Okay.
I'm so freaking excited to have you on the show. You guys, this is Miss the one and only Meghan Olson.
Yes, ma'am.
She is a licensed clinical social worker. She is the head therapist on the team. She is the supervisor on the team.
Yes. Yep.
She's also a brain health coach, and she's just an extraordinary human being. And we have so much fun working together. And we also we know our zone of genius, which is totally how we help people and our and our epic personalities, our award-winning personalities.
Totally.
What is not our zone of genius is what took us 17 minutes to get this.
I was about to say, we also know our lack of genius areas. Okay. And it is Google Chrome. It is technology, honey. I don't know. And I'm supposed to know some of this stuff. No.
She's an old soul. Sorry. She's a millennial old soul.
Old woman.
So I do have to tell you that you're going to have to stay closer to your microphone instead of coming in.
How's that?
You guys for sure are going to want to watch this one on the YouTubes. Because if you're just using your microphone on the computer and you're coming in and out, I need them to hear every word, that the glory that's going to pour out. We all are
Oh
going to be
gosh, yes,
equally
Lord.
surprised and delighted by what comes out the mouth of this one here, honey. But I'm excited to have this
Oh,
conversation, even though it was a journey to get here, because the holidays are here. The holidays are here, and
yes, they are.
people might think it's our slow time. That is not the case.
No,
This is a busy
no.
time for therapists because
Yeah.
mostly families. Like, what do you think is the biggest reason why holidays are so hard for people mental health wise?
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is Trigger Nation. Let's just say
Mm-hmm.
that. And what I have found is there's three common themes that pop up every single year that are very
Okay.
different, but kind of repetitive. And not all there is by any means. But the first being what we always talk about, which is people running around like a chicken with their
Mm-hmm.
head cut off, doing all these things they don't want to be doing, hosting the people that trigger them, feeling like they have to do all
Yep.
the things, all of that stuff. So just kind of doing too much, burning
Yep.
themselves out. And another category, we have people that are grieving
Mm.
because this is the time of the year that like they think about the loved ones that are lost and the people that have passed away. And in addition to that, also those that they've distanced themselves from, people they've cut off because they weren't healthy for them. Like this is the time that kind of
Yeah.
reemerges. And then another one that I've noticed coming up a lot in the past few years has been people kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum where they are triggered because they feel like they don't have enough. Like they don't have a big family, they don't have a network of friends, they don't have a crazy social calendar.
Mm.
And that one comes up all the time. So there's a lot of comparison that
Mm.
goes on and thinking
Mm.
like, oh, I don't do enough, my family's not big enough, I don't have a partner, I don't have all these fun holiday events that everybody
Traditions.
else has, the traditions. I don't have any of that. So it's like three very different categories, but very common, it
Yes.
seems. So there's a lot of different reasons why people are triggered this time of the year.
Yeah. Wow. So that's like loneliness, right? The comparison. I'm not where I thought I would be. I don't have a partner. I don't have children. I don't have the money to have the Christmas I want to have or the holiday. There's
Yes.
definitely the grieving thing is huge, right? I feel like people like
Yeah.
put the holiday season as like a marker of time. Like I thought I would be in a different place by this holiday. I thought I would be celebrating with this person, and now I don't have a good relationship with my mom for another Christmas. I haven't repaired it with my brother for another Christmas. It's like this weird marker in
Right.
time.
Right. Yeah.
But
So
it's
it's
like
so
it's
hard
just
for so
another
many
day,
people.
boo boops. It's just another day.
Yeah. Well, and
We
Lord
forget
knows in
that.
this episode, yeah, we can talk about specific cute little messages for all of the above because there's going to be some themes probably that blend and overlap. But yeah, there's certain little tidbits we can give these people, I'm sure, because they're so common and everyone's going through it in a different way for sure. Holiday season, here we are.
Okay, so from a boundary perspective, because those three buckets you gave are 100% like, yep. There's already people in the
Yeah.
audience going, oh, snap. She sees me. She knows me. She feels me. What are some
Yes.
of the boundaries that you see most commonly we're not honoring during this time? Where are we in need? Actually, back it up. Beep, beep. Tell the people what is even a boundary. Let's start there. What is a boundary? Because I feel like boundaries are misunderstood in our culture.
They are very, very, very misunderstood. That is for sure. But a boundary is basically you putting a line in the sand, whether it's personally for you or you voice it to other people. That's essentially like letting people know what you're going to allow. So, what people get mixed up is they think that boundaries are like telling your mom that she can't do what she's doing anymore. That's my boundary. You can't do that anymore to me because it triggers me. But really, a boundary is more about our own behaviors. It's not meant to be that we're telling somebody else what to do. So instead, it's meant to be like, hey, mom, if you do this thing that's hurtful to me, I'm going to remove myself. I'm not going to keep going with this conversation. I'm not going to have you over this year, stuff like that. So it's much more about our own behaviors than anything else. And that's what people get really wrong because they're out here saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But we can't control other people.
That's right. And
then people think they don't work because they're like, well, they didn't respect my boundary. But I'm like, right, but you gave them a rule. That's not a boundary.
Yes.
You're in control of your boundaries, people.
Ooh, that's so important. Like asking somebody else to change is not a boundary.
No.
you effectively expressing what you're going to do should that behavior continue is a boundary.
Right. Exactly. You have all the power.
I like to remind people too, because I feel like we've gone a little too far with our boundaries and we're just like even a little too sensitive. Like, I will not tolerate that. And I will not tolerate that. And I will. Honey, we've become a little self-righteous with our boundaries.
You guys, let's simmer down. Yeah.
Let's simmer down because relationships are messy. Life is hard. And I would rather you grow in your strength to hold things. I would rather you grow in your ability to communicate. I would rather you grow in your resilience than have such hard boundaries over every little thing that you disagree with. So boundaries are meant to be a bridge, not a wall. So a boundary is a bridge between you and I, or whoever you're struggling with. It's like a way that we could stay connected but protected. Whereas I think people are misusing boundaries and being like, you're out of my life. You did this. You're out. That's a no. And it's like, no, those are walls. And you're not really showing. Now, while there are some things in life that require a wall, anything abuse related, all that wall. But for like the wide range of normal that exist in family systems, that exist in your habits, patterns, and behaviors, that exist in all your relationships, defaulting to a wall is actually an avoidant behavior.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
It's like, it's too hard for me to communicate where my line is, so I'll just ice queen you out. And that's not emotionally intelligent. That's not helping you heal and grow. That's not helping you stay connected and protected. So some of us have no boundaries and some of us are just ice queens out here icing everything, everyone, all day, every day. And then we wonder why there's a loneliness epidemic.
Yes, totally. Because we want to be as central as possible. We want the ability to have a little bit of both. Flexibility, people. I hear Elsa from Frozen everywhere.
Ice queen. Like everybody. It's a no for me. So I just want to say that because I feel like one of the reasons why boundaries are not respected is because we're not actually effectively communicating them, and we're ice queening everything. And so it loses its power. If there's a boundary over everything, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, then nothing is right. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So
1,000%. There has to be room for flexibility and knowing that nobody's going to be perfect. We're all going to be making mistakes. But my favorite thing to ask just anybody is, does that person know factually how you feel? Like, do they know what you're experiencing? Yes or no? And more often than not, what tends to happen is people are like, well, they should know.
Totally.
They should know how I feel. It's obvious, you know? And it's like, well, they're not mind readers. How are they supposed to know your internal experience? They're not gonna. So that's rule number one of, do they know my experience and do I need to communicate it? Because if they knew what you were experiencing, would the behavior even happen the same way? We don't know. And yeah, that's something that people are fully missing often.
Yes.
To say the least.
We're living in the assumption land. Anytime you're saying they should know, you might as well just assume, honey, they don't.
They probably don't. They probably don't.
They're not
mind readers. Yeah, totally. So that leaves people disappointed a lot because they're like, oh, well, it should be obvious. They should know how I feel. And they're still doing this. But guys, they probably don't know. And that really actually can determine like what happens with your boundaries. Because if you express yourself and say like, this is how I feel, this is how this behavior makes me feel, you know, and then the behavior continues, that's a whole other ballgame, you know. But we want to get there first. That's baseline. Do they know why you're upset? Do they know that it's hurtful? Yay or nay?
It's usually a nay.
It's usually a nay. Correct.
Okay. So we have a little bit of information around what a boundary is and what a boundary is not. And the next thing is just like, especially when you're exercising your boundaries appropriately, I want you to know that it's healthy and okay to have boundaries because it's what's going to allow you to remain healthy and okay and for you to stay connected and protected. So one of the things I see so many of our clients bump up against is they feel bad for having a boundary.
Oh, Always. Yep.
So it's like I set a boundary and now I feel like a terrible person. I feel guilt around it. That relationship is ruined. They probably think I don't care. So I'm going to go hide. And it's like, no, 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 no. It's actually safe and okay for us to have boundaries. What do you have to say about that?
It is so, so true. Every day I hear this. And the biggest thing is to know is that boundaries are not for other people. They're for you. So yeah, it's going to have a ripple effect. There's probably going to be some feathers ruffled because boundaries basically give us this opportunity to show a new version of ourselves that people aren't used to. And so that in itself is a weird thing for people because they're like, wait, I'm used to you being this. I'm used to you being open to this. So that's just a confusing time.
Totally.
But that's a hurdle that people can get through, like those people can adjust and adapt to the new version of you. And if they aren't in support of you being your best self and being regulated and being the happiest version of you, then are they for you, first of all?
Exactly. Okay, so what you just said is really important. Boundaries allow you to step forward as a different version of you. Like, I am going to monitor my drinking. I am not going to overspend to look cool. I am not going to come to every single event that I'm invited to. I am not going to have my in-law in my house for 14 hours. I am not going to, right? That is a new version of you. And that's an energy. And that does have a ripple effect. But the ripple is good because the people in your life that are healthy will be able to say, damn girl, look at her go. Look at her being mindful of her eating, drinking, and spending. Look at her protecting her time, energy, and sanity. Look at her not subscribing to capitalism and consumerism and going like making herself broke and stressed. Look at her. And they're going to go, wow, that's really cool. The ones that have the stickiest problems are the ones that you needed the biggest boundary with in 1999. In the 90s, folks.
Yeah. We're overdue, gang. Okay? We are overdue. We have to return the library books, folks. Okay? We are over freaking due.
Yes. And that's, to me, that's just like information. That's information. But I often say to clients, like, figuring out your limits, setting them, it's hard, but it's doable. It's dealing with people's emotional responses and not making them your responsibility is where the rubber hits the freaking road.
That part. Yes.
That part.
Yes. And I think I just saw you talk about this actually on social media. But I was thinking about this too, this connection of codependent traits popping out with the holiday season.
Girl, say all the things you want to say about that because I'm just like making this connection right now. And she's right. I did a Facebook Live about it yesterday, how as women, we're so prone to, read the room and fix the emotional states of the room and fix the energy of the room. And that is in fact codependent. And I had never put all of that together. And it's like, dang. Yeah. And so in the holiday season, when you're doing what your mother has always wanted you to do, when you're overextending yourself so that it looks good and you keep the peace, these are codependent behaviors. But like, what do you say about that?
Yeah. So codependency is interesting because most people only think of codependency as like the obvious, like those that kind of like need validation. Well, yeah. Well, the people that are like, hey, will you just check that I'm doing this right? Like confirm for me so I feel good, like that version. But there's another sneaky little version that we refer to as the rescuers, the givers, the ones that are like feeling responsible for other people's emotions. They're out here walking on eggshells. They're trying to fix all the things. They're trying to coordinate all the things. But at the root of it, either way, however it shows up for you, is basically codependency is when our sense of self can be shifted because of an outside source, outside thing. So for those that are more of the rescuer types during the holidays, they're like, no, I have to do this for mom, because if I upset her, I'll feel like a bad daughter. That makes me a bad daughter, right? And the goal is for us to get to a point where we go, hold on. It's okay if something upsets mom, and I know that I'm a good daughter regardless. Whether or not mom is upset doesn't change the fact that I'm a good daughter.
Boom.
Right. Like, and that's what people really miss, especially in the holidays. And this is something I've talked to people about. Like, most people think it's relationships that we see codependency only, but I argue that workaholics have a little bit of that because it's their job, their work source is what makes them feel good about themselves. So they're like, I'm worthy of something because I show up in all these ways at work and am as successful as I am and all of that. So yeah, holidays just expose the codependency for sure. And that's something to ask yourself of like when you're upset about somebody else being disappointed or feeling guilty, we want to check in and go, hold on, is my narrative right now that I'm not a good person? I'm not a good this. I'm not a good mom. I'm not a good daughter, friend, whatever. And there's a good sign that that's kind of related to that and that you're getting that validation from something else instead of an internal, hey, no, I know that I'm good regardless. Everything will be okay. People are allowed to be upset if they're upset. And that doesn't mean that you're a shitty person.
Totally.
Period.
Yeah, it's like,
yes,
if you're avoiding somebody else's emotional response or judgment or disappointment in you, that's something to double click on and maybe examine.
Totally. Because we shouldn't have to rely on others solely. Of course, validation's great, getting it from our loved ones and all the things, but also we want that strength in knowing, no, I'm solid in myself. Like I believe that I'm a good person. I know that I'm a good person. And that doesn't have to change because of somebody else's mood.
No. And so I feel like so many dread the holidays because they're not spending the holidays doing what they actually need or crave or what they value in their system. And so I would encourage you, listener, to like spend some time of like, what do the holidays mean to me? What do I want them to mean? What do I value? Do I value quality time? Do I want big family? Do I want small family? Do I value experiences, travel, gifts? Like, what are the traditions that tickle me pink? And what are the traditions I roll my eyes over? What are the work parties? Like, start to really spend some time going like, what do I want the holidays to mean and feel like for me? So that way you can start to look at, what am I doing? Here's a good question to ask. What am I doing out of obligation? I cannot tell you how many women who have husbands or wives, multiple children, and they're schlepping their family unit around to 14 effing Thanksgivings. And Christmas is a marathon of going to places you would not want to go. And I'm like, why, ma'am? Why are we doing that? Like,
why are we doing that?
Your Christmas, you are the matriarch of your effing household. Your Christmas is supposed to be your Christmas. And you're over here making all of the mother-in-laws and the mothers and the father-in-laws and your effing stepmother and stepsister and auntie who was abusive to you. We're out here making it to their houses, schlepping our families around. We want to pause and take a breather. We want to acknowledge the parts of us that we're doing all of those things to be a good girl, a good daughter, a good wife, a good in-law, a good da-da-da-da. And we want to then ask ourselves, why am I doing this?
Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Right? It's like the turkey story that I share at the beginning of the podcast. Like, why am I handling a raw bird? I am not meant for this. This was not in my gene codes. This is not my soul's purpose, honey. But I'm telling myself that good moms do it. And so here I am in this torture with this bird. Like, why are we doing these things? We just want to get curious.
Totally. Yes. And I always have people ask and ask myself, like, who is this for?
That's another good question.
Because if the answer is never, such a good question. Because if the answer is never for you, if you're never like, oh, I'm doing that because I love it. Never, never, not even once. That's a really big problem. And that can help you kind of like unwind, like how much of this is because you genuinely want to versus what you've been trained to do, what you've always viewed Christmas as, what you feel like you're supposed to do, what good families do, you know, all of that.
Yes.
Mumbo jumbo.
Yes. Well, this is where the good girl conditioning just comes in so strong. Like mothers should do this and good wives should do that. But there's just so much to consider. Like, first of all, what holidays are you celebrating? Number two, how do you want to celebrate them? Number three, what feels good to you? Because here's the thing. We're not saying, again, to be ice queen and ice out everybody in your family, all your traditions. But it's like, if you're schlepping your kids around and you're not doing anything that brings you back to the spirit of the holiday, you're probably being a monster to your children by the end of the day. At least that was me. I was like so resentful.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
fun, right? It's just like you're spending all this money, you're feeling like a piece of poop because you're eating and drinking, you're staying up late on Christmas Eve to wrap a bunch of plastic crap that you know they're not even going to give a shit about. They only want the effing box. Like, it is not that fun, okay? Like, something's off.
Right.
And like for some people, like my husband who works really hard during the holiday season, we need like decompression time for our holiday.
Yeah.
For other people, y'all are off for 3 weeks. So you want to get out and be jolly and get together and do your thing. There's no right or wrong. It's just like what works for you and your family system, or you and your dog, or you and your bestie, or you and your partner. Like, what works for you?
Right.
And where are you overextending yourself such that you're not enjoying it? You're resentful. You're ice queen. And where can you shave some of those things off?
Totally. Yes. I also think too that a lot of people, I'll have them kind of jot down, if you could implement boundaries and you know everyone's fine, what are they? Like, what are the top things that you know you would want to implement? And anything's possible. We know that everybody's going to be fine in the end. Mom's not going to be super mad at you for that long. Like, and what are those things? Because again, like we were talking about, so many people don't even dream of it because they're like, I'm not even going to touch that. I'm not going to upset my mom. I'm not going to upset my grandma. I'm not going to upset the in-laws. But that'll get kind of some clarity for you if you just brain dump from a place of like, hey, anything's possible. If I were to say that I know everyone's fine, everyone forgives me, I'm still connected with these people, what are the boundaries that I know that I want to put in play? And how can we start taking our little baby steps into them? Doesn't mean that you have to, again, be ice queen and the whole thing, the whole list is all of a sudden there. But what if we were to brain dump and then start with one, just to bring some of that sanity back to us, you guys?
Yes. Okay, the power of the baby step.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Like,
Baby
we are
steps.
not suggesting that you set all your boundaries 100%. I mean, this is what happens though, is we don't set any until we set them all. And then it doesn't go super superb for us. And I wonder why.
Right.
So we're asking you to be mindful and to like start inching your way toward, right? And that can look like a really small baby step. Like, I'm only committing to 2 work holiday parties a week instead of 3 or 4 or 5. I am not sending out Christmas cards or Hanukkah cards this year. I'm not drinking during the week, but I'll let myself drink on the weekends. I'm setting a budget and I'm sticking to it. I'm asking my partner if we can just get each other cards this season. Like, little things, 1 or 2 here, or like letting your mom or your aunt or your godmother know we'll come, but we only have a 2-hour window. I love the idea of a window. So part of the problem is it's like we're going to go somewhere and we're going to get swallowed up there and it's a whole day event. And then we're exhausted when we get home and we're depleted for anything else. No, like, let people know ahead of time. You know what? Thank you so much for inviting us. We'll be there 10 a.m. to noon. We got something to do after that. Let them know.
Right.
I will be there from 2 to 4. I will be there from 6 to 8. But like, people are out here like not even keeping their kids on their kids' routines because they feel bad.
Yeah. Which is a nightmare.
It's
when
like,
your kid is not on their
let
routine.
us be the voice of reason that says your child's routine trumps your in-laws' 4th hot toddy extravaganza they want to have on Christmas Eve. Right?
Yes, 1,000%.
But you can still go to your in-laws, but it's okay to have an end time and to walk out with integrity. Make sure you and your partner are in agreement. So that way, when I'm trying to get the kids out, I've got your support, because if I don't, that's going to be a whole new good for you tomorrow, sweetie. Or vice versa. Like, if your husband's trying to get the kids out or your wife's trying to get the kids out, you got to support. But like, these are the things that are baby steps, but they're powerful. Having 1 less drink, 1 less hour, $100 less on the credit card, 1 less outing, 1 less Christmas card, 1 less. It's like that adds up and gives you a little bit of space.
It sure does. Those little things add the freak up. So people don't realize that either. But yeah, you can make the smallest little adjustments that will then change everything for you and conserve even 2% battery in your battery life. And that makes a difference. It sure does.
Yeah. And moms, like, your kids don't need to have the hottest toy. It will, in fact, be okay. I have a 21-year-old who did not get the hottest toys. And guess what he likes to play with? Instruments. Being poor
Yes,
as
and he's doing
shit
great.
during his childhood worked out for us. Okay?
Sure did.
Like, I noticed that. Like, there was not pressure for like getting the hottest toy and your kid having the things when I was raising Camden as there is now with Chloe.
Oh,
You know,
man,
like
yeah.
I can see the pressure is different. And it's like, I just want you to know that you can subscribe to that if you choose. If it actually tickles you pink to have the thing, go on with your bad self. I'm not going to judge you. But if it doesn't, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do a 7-course meal. We can do meat and
No.
cheese and crackers. You can actually go out to dinner. You can cater in. You can get Chinese. Like, there's little things that we can do. But I'm just saying, like, these are little boundaries that I've set throughout the years with my holiday. Is like the turkey, that's gone.
Right.
Caring about what's hot and new, that's gone. The Black Friday, I never subscribed to that. The like traveling to places, that doesn't work for my husband because he only has one day off. That's gone. I cut out the Christmas cards for a couple of years. That's gone. They're coming back this year because I feel like it.
Yes, good. Period. Yeah.
What are some of the boundaries that you're setting in your life this holiday season?
I mean, yeah, Lord knows my holiday can be just as crazy as everybody else's. I have,
You have a big family.
Blended family.
You have a big blended family.
I have a giant family. The good news is I'm in a good spot where I genuinely enjoy my family. So that's counting my blessings. I know, everyone, counting my blessings. But it is a whole coordination situation. My parents are divorced, so I have dad over here. I got mom and stepdad over here. I got that whole unit over there. I got extended family, like doing the most. And I do tend to be the one that kind of coordinates a lot. Like I'm kind of the one that's like kind of making things happen. But I'm also really wanted to be intentional about how I go about the scheduling, how I make time for, hey, I'm going to be at my house just existing by myself on these days. I won't be backing it up like the whole time. I wanted to take some time off of work, like things like that, to just schedule in the decompression. Because I know that my schedule is going to be crazy because it just is. Big family, lots going on, lots of moving parts. And that's cool because I do enjoy it. But I also am going to be implementing those absolutely nothing days where I am by myself.
Yes.
And the people in my life, they know that I need my alone time, just period. Whether you're my friend or my family or whatever, like they know that I have my shutdown modes where I'm like, I'm going to be sitting here watching Harry Potter. Okay. Phone, do not disturb. Okay. Don't even dream of contacting me right now. Okay. Respectfully. Love you so much. And I just make sure I have time to exist.
Yeah.
Coordinating all the things. I'm just resetting and just being open to that. And we need to have more of that. So that's my personal way of doing that because, yeah, it is going to be chaotic. And if you're out there and you're like, yeah, my shit is chaotic. It just is chaotic. I don't, you know, but can we also pencil in the decompression, the recharge times somewhere, even if it's 10 minutes, because once again, it adds up. So you're not completely burnt out and just a shell of yourself by the end of it, because we don't want that for you. We really don't.
No, that's actually such a beautiful tip. Building out decompression time.
Yeah. Schedule it just like you would schedule the party. Schedule it in there. Make it make sense. And if there's like multiple parties you have to attend to, make sure there's space in between. Don't be back to back to back to back. Like give yourself restrictions and boundaries in the sense of like, I'm only going to do one party a weekend. Okay. Or whatever the equivalent would be in your scheduling situation. But yeah, I don't think you have to do all of the things. And can we space it out a little bit?
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
We don't
know
do
that you're going to want.
We don't add a buffer. We literally book ourselves back to back, and then we wonder why we're like dysregulated, jumping from thing to thing, and then falling into our bed at night. It's like, well, because you didn't even pause to breathe.
Right.
You can't be doing that.
The whole time was just you like doing all the things and pleasing all the people and hosting all the like. No, we need to have like genuine scheduled time to exist. Not have something to do. And mind you, let's also know, shout out to all the moms out there, but I swear to God, this always happens, where if there's a low day, we be filling that sucker with our to-do list. That's not what we're talking about, gang. I'm not having you have a day off and that day off turns into you're going grocery shopping and you're meal prepping and you're doing the laundry. That's no, we're talking about an existing day where you just sit, you watch movies if you want. You know what I mean? You're just a human instead of catching up on tasks.
Yeah.
Everybody
Wow,
falls
we
into that
really
trap. And I'm like,
do,
guys,
man. I can even do it with a 2-hour period. I'll have a 2-hour period, and it's really unbelievable what I can squeeze into that 2 hours that is supposed to be free
yes,
time. I'm like, oh, I could
yes.
literally write my keynote talk in 2 hours. I could
no,
write
totally.
a book.
And we know.
Okay. I could literally solve the world's problems in 2 hours. So let me go ahead and pack that 2 hours full. Yeah. Resist the urge to do that. And this is bringing me to another point that I feel like you do so well with our clients is like, okay, so existing time. And then there's like, let's make sure our basic needs are still met and our self-care is still happening even in the busy holiday season. Are we sleeping? Are we getting
100%.
enough water? Are we getting enough nutrition? Are we getting enough sunshine? Like, we basically take out all of our self-care in our existing time and we fill it in with doing the most, also doing things we don't even necessarily want to be doing, things that we think we're supposed to like doing. And then we wonder why we are so depleted in what is supposed to be a refresh of a new year, new you. And we're like, screw
hanging on by a thread.
You.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no kidding. And here's the thing. Like, we know, Lord knows, women in general, moms specifically, so efficient. We know that you can do all the things. We know that. Okay. Doesn't mean you should. That does not mean you should. Who are you trying to prove what to? And there's always going to be like tasks to have. That list is never ending. Okay. What are we trying to prove? We don't need to. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. No. No. And also too, kind of shifting, but I want to make sure we have little tidbits for these other categories that are like, that's not my issue.
Yes, take us there.
Yes. So, well, going back to, maybe we'll start with the grieving version. Those that are going through triggers that relate to like, this person isn't around anymore, period, whether that be they passed away or they're just not for me anymore. Because at the end of the day, we have to normalize, even if you cut off somebody that is not good for you and you know that, whether it's your sibling, mom, grandparent, best friend, whatever. We have to know that there is a lot of room and space to be sad about it too. Just because it's the right thing doesn't mean that it's the easiest thing. Okay. So we first want to make sure that we're really letting ourselves process that. If it comes up, don't run from it. Don't push it. Don't say, fuck that person. I'm not letting them do all that. No. Just give yourself that window. You can have boundaries in that too, where you set a timer and go, no, for 10 minutes, I'm going to let myself feel what I have to feel with this. Once the timer's up, we move it about the cabin, move about our day. Okay. But in that too, I know that it can be so hard, especially if it is a situation where it's genuinely a loved one that passed away. And it was like, this person made my holiday so special. Like, they were always so great and fun and all the things. And there's a couple ways that you can navigate it, but you can be really intentional in general. That's probably the word that we want anybody under any category to have here. Intention with what we're doing. But if you want to continue on with traditions and honor the person, amazing, and laugh about it and enjoy their spirit and their presence and all that sort of stuff, that's awesome. And if you're like, oh God, like this is too triggering, I can't do that same shit anymore because it just makes me sad, we can show up differently. You're allowed to upgrade. You're allowed to do it differently. And different doesn't always mean bad. So is there something new that we can integrate? Is there a gingerbread making competition we can add in that we've never done before? And refreshing what we're doing for the holidays, if it feels good and you just want to do something a little bit different. And then going to the last category that I see being the ones that are like, don't have a lot of family, don't have a big network, don't have support system, all that sort of stuff. Also be intentional about doing the things that you enjoy. If you want to, you don't have to have a big family, big whatever, to go to the ice skating rink if you want. You know, like you can go and do all the fun things, and please have the boundary of, I'm not going to compare my situation to others. I'm not going to have it be this, my client over here, my coworker over here, they have this beautiful life and holiday and all the people and da-da-da-da, because comparison is always going to kill us no matter what. always, no matter what. And realistically, gang, this is the funniest part about this, and I tell people this, those that are experiencing that end where they're like, I don't have a ton of people, I don't have all that, I'm sad about that, da, 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 and they're looking at these other people that have this gorgeous situation and busy social calendar. Meanwhile, those sweet angels are the ones that we're talking to in this episode going, hey, reel it in, sugar, because you hate your life during the holiday. Like, it's so funny because I'm like, you guys, I get that it looks great on paper, but I promise you,
she is not okay.
87.2%.
The ice queen is about to pop off.
like, it's not always what it seems, you guys. It's not. So try your best to not compare your situation, because there is so much room for growth and happiness and joy within whatever situation you're in. And don't argue with the situation you're in. Don't say, oh, I wish it were different. Say, no, this is where I'm at. And so let's think about, what do I want to implement this season that I just enjoy? I want to bake some cookies. I want to decorate them. I want to get new decor if I want. You know what I mean? Like things like that that just spark joy in you, because you don't have to rely on a crazy big network for that to happen. You sure don't.
Oh, that makes me laugh so hard, what you said about the comparison. First of all,
Girl,
limit your social
that part.
media, because your social media is everybody posting the thing that they're the most proud of. But you're right. That thing, there could be a full-blown meltdown that's occurring 2 minutes later. Like what that woman or man had to go through to make that memory pop off, it may have gone swimmingly well. And again, more power to those kings and queens. It also could have been disastrous. And because we are therapists, we do know that there is no such thing as a perfect household, couple, family. We all have skeletons in our closet, honey. So 100%. As beautiful as that Christmas portrait looks,
how many teeth were pulled to get it? You know what I mean?
Were pulled. Okay, right. And that's not like we're wishing problems on people. It's just the reality. We really do like put things on a pedestal and fantasize and glamorize it. And it's like, no, like everybody has a thing that they're going through during the holiday. So maybe that's the thing we end with too, is just like being kind to yourself and being kind to others, because holidays can be hard for people. They can be exciting for people. There can be a lot of pressure. There can be a lot of love. There can be a lot of trauma remembering. A lot of trauma happens when families got together when we were kids. And so like everybody's going through it. And where can we just like soften and open and revert back to boundaries and setting little itty bitty baby steps in motion to have a healthier and more intentional holiday season, to choose the things that light us up and remind us of what really matters, which at the end of the day is just like love and freaking inner peace, for God's sakes, Billy. Billy just wants us. Billy just wants us to have a little inner peace. And guess what helps us with that? Boundaries. But you never know what anyone else is going through. And so just like opening your heart to that too. So
100%. 100%.
Hopefully there was some tangible things folks could peel out from our little chat, like asking themselves, who is this for? And writing and brain dumping their dream boundary list if nobody would be upset. Looking at where you're doing things that don't feel good anymore. Looking at your eating, drinking, spending, all of that. Feeling your feelings. Knowing that boundaries are actually healthy, but they're not an opportunity for you to ice out everything. Boundaries are about you, not other people. I guess we did share a lot today.
The time flew by. Totally.
The time always flies by.
I know. Lots of little nuggets for sure. So hopefully that is helpful just for an intentional holiday season. Yeah. And also, one last message of being the thing that you hope for in the holiday season. Start bringing it. Don't rely on other people for it. If you want connection, call your friends. If you want joy, go and be joyous in town somewhere. Like, do the thing that you're craving. You can do that. It starts
with us.
We
go first.
Yes.
We go first.
Yes. And that's how we start building all these things in motion at the same time. You have all of the power in the world to make a beautiful holiday season, no matter what category you're in. Truly.
I love it. Meghan, you are the freaking best. I'm so grateful for you. I love every minute we get to spend together. And even though we laugh so hard, like you really are an extraordinary therapist and you help people with all of these things. So shout out to you. And if you or someone you know needs some holiday boundary support or just mental health support, we will put Megan's calendar. We'll link that puppy in the show notes. People can do a consult. I don't even know if you
Yes.
have any openings right now, but maybe one, you do have a few. Okay, beautiful. But we're here for you guys. If you need anything, reach out. Otherwise, take care of you this holiday season.
Please and thank you. Okay, great.
Bye for now. Hey, mama, if you made it to the end of this episode, I just want to virtually high five you because you've said yes to the opportunity of taking better care of yourself. And that is so meaningful and so amazing. You have no idea the ripple of goodness that's to come. If you've been enjoying the show, if you've been finding it helpful, if you've laughed a little or learned a new technique, will you do me a favor? Will you make sure that you're following the show, that you've given us a 5-star rating and left a review? That will absolutely help us get this podcast into more heads and hearts of as many mamas as possible. Because when we heal the mother, we heal the world. Also, if there's a specific episode that you've loved, will you make sure to share it with a friend? Just send them the link or share it on social media and make sure you tag me at Brooke Jean unPerfected because I absolutely love seeing that this is actually giving you the impact that you so desire and deserve. Thank you so much, mamas. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves and therefore each other.